Welcome to Discourse Politics. It is exactly 4 weeks until election, so today we are going to talk about the top 10 reasons Donald Trump is going to win the election. Stay tuned for my other video that's coming out next, which is Joe Biden, top 10 reasons Joe Biden is going to win the election. But this one is top 10 reasons Donald Trump is going to win the election. So let's do this. Number 10, voter enthusiasm. So many people are going to find this hard to believe, but the gap between Biden and Trump with enthusiasm is larger than it was between Biden and Clinton. The enthusiasm gap has actually grown in Donald Trump's presidency, so there's actually higher enthusiasm among Republicans than there are Democrats this voting season. Number 9, he's the incumbent. Historically, incumbents have what is called incumbency advantage. It is very hard to unseat a sitting president. In fact, it's only been done 3 times in the past 80 years. Number 8, in-person voting versus mail-in voting. By as much as a 4-to-1 margin, meaning 80%, Democrats are much more likely to send in mail-in votes. If 100,000 ballots are rejected, which has happened in California and is projected to happen in Pennsylvania, that would mean that Donald Trump would get a net 60,000 vote gain. He won the state by 40,000, give or take, in 2016. He could get a 60,000 vote advantage on top of, and we'll get to this later, registration advantage, but this could be a big deal if 100,000 mail-in votes are rejected, especially if Democrats are 4 times more likely to send in their vote, which would mean that he would have to get 100,000 more votes than Hillary Clinton just to tie if 100,000 votes are rejected, not because of the 100,000, but because 60,000 plus the 40,000 that she lost by. So that would be huge that he would have to get, he would have to get 100,000 more votes, because that would be 3.3% better than Hillary Clinton did back in 2016. Number 7, get out the vote effort. The Donald Trump team is actually going door to door to get out the vote, whereas Biden is not doing that at all. Now, some of you might question the logic behind going door to door when there's a pandemic, but in the words of Donald Trump, it is what it is. Number 6, the famous line by James Carville, "It's the economy, stupid." James Carville believed that the number one issue that voters almost always depend on is the economy. And currently, voters trust President Trump to bring the economy back better than the Biden campaign. Now, that's not to say it doesn't change. There's not to say there's no different ways to measure this, because I have seen some studies that indicate they don't trust Donald Trump more than Biden. But that's not to say that overall it seems that the people trust Donald Trump better than Joe Biden on the economy. Number 5, Republican registration, particularly in swing states, has outperformed Democrats. There has been a general movement from registered Democrats deregistering as Democrats and then registering as Republicans, and that has been throughout the Donald Trump presidency. Now, with the exception of Arizona, the Republican Party has outregistered Democrats in Florida, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. And just to give you an idea of how much of a spread that is, in Pennsylvania alone, that's 160,000 people more that have been registered as Republicans than Democrats. So presumably there's a lot of overlap here, but if there is no overlap, that would be an advantage with what we talked about earlier with the mail-in ballots. It could be as much as 250,000 votes that swing Republican just for that very reason. Now, I highly doubt that. I believe that there's a lot of overlap here, but just something to think about. Republicans have outregistered Democrats in a lot of the swing states, in almost all of the swing states, with the exception of Arizona. Number 4, historically, after riots, people in counties adjacent to rioting vote 6% more Republican or more conservative. So there was a comprehensive study done over this subject, and basically what it found was that over the long haul, every time there is civil unrest or there's riots, people tend to flock towards conservatives during these times. Urban vote, especially in the counties surrounding riots, typically vote 6% more Republican during those times. Now, if you'll watch my other video on why Biden's going to win, that may not actually be the case this time, because Biden's gaining in the urban vote. But nonetheless, we're talking about top 10 for Trump. We'll get to top 10 for Biden shortly thereafter. So Right now, historically speaking, conservatives tend to pick up votes after riots. Number three, if the polls are to be believed, Donald Trump is making gains with minorities. Recent polls have shown that Donald Trump has actually closed the gap with minorities by as much as 7%, with some being actually as high as 10%, a 10% gain with certain demographics. That's huge comparatively speaking. Historically, assuming everyone else votes the same way, if minorities swung just 7 to 10% to the Republicans, it would be extremely difficult for a Democrat to win. Number two, the Electoral College. With the way the Electoral College is set up, Republicans have a natural advantage within the Electoral College. Some political scientists have actually theorized that a 6% populist win by a Democrat could still easily result in a loss in the Electoral College by the Democrat. So Republicans have an advantage when it comes to the Electoral College. And finally, number one, it's combined with number two. How does Donald Trump look in the swing states? And actually, he doesn't look too bad. In 2016, Donald Trump outperformed his numbers by as much as 3 to 7%, depending on which swing states you add into the equation. As of October 6th, he's only behind by 4.3%. Now, how does that compare to 2016? As of the election in 2016, at this point, Donald Trump was down by 4.5%, which means that he's actually outperforming what he did in 2016. So, in actuality, when you look at just the swing states, he's looking pretty good compared to 2016, especially because his enthusiasm is higher, his registration is higher, his minority vote is higher. It really does look like, when you look at it on paper in a certain angle, it looks like Donald Trump is unstoppable. Now, that being said, if you actually watch my video on Joe Biden, you'll see that it's not in the bag at all. In fact, if I had to bet, I would bet on Joe Biden at this point. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comment section below. Is Donald Trump going to win this, or does Biden have this in the bag? If you could gently tap the like button, it would help this channel out a lot. Also, don't forget to subscribe. If you hated this video, make sure you hit the thumbs down button twice. It's always good to hit the thumbs down button in even numbers, 2 times, 4 times, 6 times. Just make sure you hit it even numbers. With that being said, thank you, and I will catch you next video.